As the meeting between President Trump and Putin approaches on Friday, more and more people are trying to define what a good deal between Ukraine and Russia should look like, what Ukraine should give to Russia and Russia return to Ukraine. And as advocate who's working on the return of abducted children of Ukraine, I know one condition and one thing that should not be compromised on, and it's abducted Ukrainian children. Ukrainian government has received over 19,000 reports of abduction of children, but we know that there are so many more than that. And it has done multiple attempts to negotiate with Russia on the return of children. The most recent attempts were during the meeting in Istanbul, when Ukraine submitted a list of 339 names to Russia as a test to see if Russia is willing to negotiate the return of children in goodwill. If Russia would return those 300 kids, more would follow. But Russia returned only 6 after 2 months. And even those children were largely negotiated and mediated by Qatar for over a year. And if this return signifies anything, speaks more to the efforts of international partners who work on return of Ukrainian children rather than on Russia's goodwill. Returning 6 children out of 339 asked, 19,546 missing, and hundreds more estimated abducted children is not really a peace, it's mockery of negotiations. Putin is actively making fun and mocks Trump's attempts to bring peace to Ukraine. This is the only issue that Ukraine doesn't really have leverage on, because simply Ukraine does not have Russian children to offer in return. So with international organization failing to hold Russia accountable and force the return of Ukrainian abducted children, it is really up to international partners to broadcast and put pressure on Putin to return abducted Ukrainian children. And I believe nobody has more influence or leverage over Putin right now than President Trump. President Trump himself mentioned back in February that he believes he could return abducted Ukrainian children. This would be an unprecedented move in the history of humanitarian issues that I believe would bring him the Nobel Peace Prize, because what could be more morally right than to return abducted children to their families and their native land? Russia will claim that it has no idea where the children are. It have never stolen anyone's children and tried to muddy the waters as much as they can, as they've been doing before. But we should remember that Russia at the same time posts the portfolios of abducted children for adoption on its government websites. The organization Save Ukraine has broke the news that there is this online catalog almost of Ukrainian children that Russia offers for adoption that describes children like its products in marketplace, posts their full unblurred pictures, describes their nature and how they behave, how obedient they are, their submissiveness to power. It literally enables child traffickers to search for perfect children victims. And this has to stop. And President Trump has this opportunity to center conversation with Putin, not only about lands, but actually about people who live in those lands and about children that were stolen by Russia. We must, as Americans, remind the world that children are non-negotiable, children are not bargaining chips, and children are not a concession that can be made to aggressor, that America will stand by innocent children everywhere.